What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 39 of Trapped in My Mind. I'm your host, Seth, and I got the one, the only, Simone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Simone.
Very excited that you're here. I've already told you that, but I feel like I've been trying to get you on this podcast for months, but either you've been on vacation or I've been on vacation.
Literally.
So I'm glad that you're here. Also, as I said before, never really had a one-on-one conversation. Mm-hmm. Always kind of been friends, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So glad you're here.
It'll be really fun. Yeah. I'm excited. Thank you for having me. This is so blessed. Like, how amazing to have this podcast.
I think it's fun, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to ask, because I feel like you're an anomaly in this sense.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Wow.
It's not bad.
Like, well,
you're like, I can see you getting nervous. It's not bad.
Okay.
I feel like I have never, ever heard anybody talk shit about you, ever. Like, I feel like everyone loves Simone. So are you, like, in tune with that? Like, do you know that? Like, do you ever think about how, or do you have people that you've beefed with that I just don't know? Because I feel like I've heard there's likable people, but there's always, like, shit talked about them. I've never heard a bad thing about you.
No, that's really nice. And, I mean, let's see. Like, I really make it a point, like, not to have beef with anyone. Because at the end of the day, like, when I go to sleep, oh my God, everyone told me that I need to slow down when I talk. So
I'm the same way.
Precursor. Half the conversation goes on in my head, and then, like, a quarter comes out in real life. So I'm trying to fix that. But, yeah, I really make it a point, like, to go to sleep and not have beef with anyone, because I would hate for that to be, like, on anyone's mind, or, like, the end to anyone's, like, relationship with us. So anyways, I like to, like, just keep a clear slate. And I mean, yeah, what's your question, I guess?
I don't even know.
We were, like, talking so chill, and now this is a real question. But no,
are you in tune with the fact that
I am in tune with it?
I think people, and I think I can speak for the most people.
Yeah.
Everyone likes you. No one has said anything bad. Do you know that people think that of you, or?
I kind of do, yeah, because people do say it, but also I feel like I make it a point to just get along with everyone. Like, I feel like everyone has a mutual point where we can, like, understand each other, and it's a matter of finding that. So, like, when I meet someone, I would hate for it to be, like, anything other than just, like, smooth, chill, comfortable, safe, and, like, loving, literally.
Yeah, but you must do something that's, like, good, because I feel like even when somebody's, like, a super cool person, there's always, especially with females, and this isn't sexist, I don't think, but I think there's always, like, somebody who's gonna be like, oh yeah, she's cool, but, like, they're gonna be kind of rude because they're jealous or something. But I feel like there's two people that I know who I really don't know people that talk shit about, and it's you and then my friend Wes. Like, you know, Wes. Like, no one hates either of you guys. Yeah,
I mean, I just don't think we do shit to, like, piss people off. Like, I'm not, like, a vindictive person. I'm not, like, a hating person. Like, if I meet you, and even if you're, like, I mean, there's nothing to be jealous about. There's nothing to compare. Like, we're just all human, and, like, we're all great. And I feel like there's so much, like, emotion already when people are meeting new people, or, like, you don't know someone, or, like, if you're intimidated by someone, or, like, whatever the heck. So I'm just, like, I try to make it the most, like, easeful situation. So maybe I am in tune with it, but I feel like it's just the people. Because, like, you know, if someone, I don't know, I feel like everyone's, like, a reflection. So if people tend to, like, be chill with me, like, they're also very chill. Like, yeah. So I always, like, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't go to your head, though, either.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't go to my head. I mean, I just feel like that's how everyone should be. Like, everyone should meet people, and, like, everyone should be chill with people, you know?
I agree. So what if somebody says something you disagree with, though? Like, how do you handle that? I'm just curious, because I'm trying to take tips from you.
Oh, that's funny. If someone says something, like, I disagree with, I just understand that everyone has, like, a different level of understanding. Like, perception's something that I've been understanding for a long time, because I'm very sensitive, I'm, like, working through currently, like, very sensitive to people's perceptions of me. And I, like, Instagram and social media is, I feel like, a huge piece, because you only portray a certain side of yourself. I only pick certain pictures, like, and so I feel like perception, you can be, just everyone's going to perceive it differently. So you might as well put out, you know, what was the original question? I already forgot.
Like, going way back?
Well, going way back.
No. The most recent question was, how do you deal with somebody, like, that doesn't agree with
that doesn't agree. Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
It's just, like, that you don't, like, doesn't hit well with you.
Right. I think I just kind of understand that that's the level of comprehension that they're at. Like, like, some people, I forgot the phrase, but it's like some people can only meet you where they're at. So like if I meet someone, they're only going to meet me where they have been before. So if you've met people that they're like, they just don't know that about themselves yet, or like they haven't been through that aspect of life, it's like, oh, I'm just understanding. Like, it's very compassionate. Like I'll never, I don't know, like, because I talk to a lot of people, and I feel like I'm in tune with a certain aspect of people, and like I know when to push, and I know when to be like, okay, that's probably the furthest that they have gone and discovered in that area.
So where did you learn this idea from? Did you get that? Like, I feel like that's a very mature, I don't know, philosophy to uphold or to know about. Where have you always had that?
I think I've learned it through myself, because there were times where like I mean, like, seriously, honestly, like last March, I think I went through like the whole time, like with the quarantine, spent a lot of time alone and like researching and like just doing a lot of like self-growing and like self-reflecting, and just having that space to like separate from everyone else like gives you a lot of clarity. So I feel like in that time I learned a lot about how I operate, and in turn like it described how other people operate. I forgot the original question again.
No, I think you've answered it.
Okay. Yeah, it takes time, I feel, but I just feel like in knowing yourself, you learn to like know other people. So I feel like I know myself really well, and I know like what makes me uncomfortable, what makes me like, you know, just tick. And I feel like when I know myself, I can kind of translate that to other people, whether they know it or not.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I've had that thought, but I haven't like really thought it out loud. But that makes a lot of sense, because if you don't like it, there's a good chance, like, for example, if I don't like something, there's a good chance somebody else doesn't like something. Or if I do like something, there's a good chance somebody else likes something. We were just talking about how humans are very similar to one another. So that, I don't even know if I'm making sense now. But
I know.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, okay, so good answer.
Thank you.
Previously to when we were recording, we were talking briefly about Sapiens, which is a book over there. I don't know why I'm pointing, because nobody can see that. But you said you wanted to touch on that. Yeah. So I guess what made you pick up that book?
Literally, it was so fated. Like, I was in an anthropology class, and there were 3 or 4 books that you had to pick from to like write your final paper on. And I was like 2 weeks to like the deadline, and I'm a very procrastinated like worker, because I work better under pressure, I feel. So like I will never start a paper like with 4 days to spare. Like, it'll be like 4 hours, and it'll be like gold. And so Sapiens was like the book, and I asked my older sister, I was like, which book should I read? Like, which one sounds more interesting? Like, they all just sound kind of like, eh. And I was like, this one like sounds really good. So I read that book, and it just like changed my worldview. Like, it describes humans in such a basic, like foundational way that it's like you just understand where we are in society and where we may go based on how it's been going, like for the past, like 4 billion years or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how long we've been here. A long time.
I think it's like 4.6 billion based on what you believe in, but some people, think other things.
So what is the synopsis of the book? What's it about?
So the book is it's about sapiens. So basically, Homo sapiens are a part of the genus Homo, species sapiens, and we're just like one of many. We're like, they're Homo erectus, like Homo apothecus, and all these things. And so we were on the planet the same time as other Homo species were. And somehow Homo sapiens have prevailed. Like, we're the only species on this planet now. So it's like, how did we prevail over all other species? And it goes through 3 different like major revolutions, which one of them's like the, like Industrial Revolution, like not like the one that we know, but like just the making of tools like back in the day.
Way back in the day.
Way back in the day. And then one of them that like stuck out most to me was the 3rd revolution, which I don't want to like spill too much, but it was the cognitive revolution, which is like the idea that humans have this ability to like, we have this language that we can speak and we can understand, and we can create stories and myths and constructs. And so what all of life is now is like a bunch of constructs, like, we have the government, we have church, we have laws, we have societal like expectations and stuff. So all these things we've created and we've upheld by like word of mouth and our ability to process in our minds. And so it's just describing where we've come with that ability and how far we're going to take it. And that's what the 2nd book is about. It's called Homo Deus by the same author. Shout out Harari. He is amazing.
Yuval Noah Harari.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for the full name.
I can see it. That's the only reason I know.
Okay, yeah. It was a really great book. And the 2nd book is really about like the first book explains what powers we have, where we've been, where we've taken it, and the second book is like how far will we take it. And the second book is like, it's pretty crazy. Like it goes, like it talks about artificial babies and like cyborg humans and stuff like that, but it also talks about just like the differences in humans. And like, because now we're talking deep shit now, but we're getting into like,
you're good,
extraterrestrial shit. Like what's the difference of like a human and like a super bodied human, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, because a lot of people think that's just like fake, and maybe it is right now, but that stuff really does interest me, because it's scary what we could do, and the reason, like, and the motivation behind why we would do something like that. Like even now, I'm pretty sure, and again, I'm obviously no expert in this, but I'm pretty sure like you have the ability, if you pay for it, you have the ability to choose the sex of your child, right?
I'm actually not sure if you like. Well, I know it's a science, like that it's available, but I'm not sure that they're allowing it like due to ethics. Like that's like designer baby territory.
Yeah,
like, yeah,
but it definitely is a thing. Like it's possible now.
Yeah, it's so possible.
Which
it's been possible for so long.
Which is weird. That's wild to me.
It's wild to me, and
like, Go ahead.
Okay. Well, like, this is the thing with it. Like, I took a medical ethics class, and, like, this blew my mind. Because, like, you talk about, like, epigenetics, like, going in and messing with the genetics before the baby is born. And that would be really useful for, like, any, issues or, like, what's the word? Like, deform, like...
You can remove, like cancerous genes, or like,
and like things that could potentially harm a human. Like you can go in and you can fix that, and you can have a baby born like super healthy. But then it's like a slippery slope, because once you can go in and fix that, you can go in and fix the height, you can fix the intelligence, so it's like
muscle tone, anything.
Exactly. So it's like the people that have money can do that, and people that don't. Yeah,
that's scary to think about.
It is scary.
And I think that's the thing too, is anything that can be used for bad can also be used for good. So in a perfect world, we would make sure we go into these, well, I don't know if you want to call it perfect, but because it could also be, that's a whole different line. But you could use this technology to go in and make sure that your baby won't get cancer, to make sure that your baby, isn't born with something that's some type of disability.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But people are going to abuse that and make sure they have superhuman babies, pretty much.
Exactly. And so, that's what the book talks about. And then it's like, once you have people, because like animals, like that's the big thing. Like we as humans, like we're all mammals. And so we're all mammals, but we treat different species that are still mammals so different than us. Like cows and all the animals that we eat, the animals that we like have in our houses, we treat them so different than we do humans. And so when we have like superhumans, are they going to treat us differently than humans? You know what I mean? Well,
and that's the thing too, is we have control right now. But if we have superhumans, I don't, like, that's the same thing with like robots, right? That's always in sci-fi. But if we make robots, we have control until we don't. Exactly. And then it's like, oh fuck, well, why did we do that? Like we don't need all of these things, but I don't know, and I'm gonna lose my train of thought here.
And that's fine, because I do it all the time.
But oh fuck, what was I just saying? Oh, like, why do we do these things? Like, we have all these, like, human nature is fine right now. We have more than enough to satisfy us, but really we don't. We keep trying to find the next big thing. We keep trying to make robots. We keep trying to make super babies. Why what purpose do those things serve? Like, I think people are never like satisfied. They're never satisfied.
And that's what the second book really talks about. Like, there's a whole chapter on the pursuit of happiness, and it's like the pursuit of happiness is it's a right, but it's not like a given. And so they're talking about how, like, because humans, it's so interesting, like humans as like a being, they have a way of operating like a cell phone does. And so humans, they have this innate nature to like continue to want more. And like we were talking about, like, you have this much, but you're going to want to grow and want more. So as humans, and like on the greater scale, we can do all these things. We're going to want to do more with it. But then also, I forgot where I was going with this, but
I just did that.
But the second book does talk about it like so greatly. And it talks about like in the pharmaceutical company, like the pursuit of happiness, like we chase happiness, but is there going to be a day where we can just like take a pill and be happy or something like that? Which is interesting.
Oh, That's weird to think about. So a little bit related, but also a little
Okay.
bit tangent from that. Because I think I had this conversation on a podcast before. Maybe I just had it not on the podcast. But I'm curious your thoughts. This has to do with lying. But so a pill that makes you happy, right? That's like, is it really happiness? Is it kind of false happiness? Is it like the idea of happiness? Same thing with like lying. If somebody lied to you your whole life and you didn't know about it and you were happy, but then you found out later at the end and it was like fake, would that bother you, or would you be okay like because you were happy the whole time?
That's a so funny question. That's a great question.
And I know it's kind of hard to think about it
It's
unless
not
you're in
hard.
that position.
I've had that position because, well, firstly, happiness, it can do with like happiness is essentially the sensation you feel, because happiness, you're not happy by a promotion. Like, you don't get a promotion, you're not happy. You get that you get that happiness sensation because of the chemicals that are released to your brain. So like, where was I going with that? Well, I guess to answer your question, like, and it's related to my childhood in a way, because my parents, they got divorced and they like kept it from me kept it from the kids for a long time, like a couple of years or something. And during that time, like, I had the happiest childhood. Like, I to this day, like, I definitely had the best childhood. But like, I remember just thinking that like my family and like my life was so perfect. Like, wow, this is great. And then I remember finding out that they had been like divorced for a couple of years and like they were like going through problems, and I was like, oh my God, like, and it was just like kind of ripped away from me. And I guess that the period that I had to rewire my thoughts of like, oh, that's the reality, like that's actually how it was like rough. And so I feel like I'd rather just not be lied to, definitely, and like have the reality of it and like deal with that, and then like I just like understanding the reality, like the realness of it, like the genuinity, like it, if that's even a word. But it, like, yeah, just
so,
like, yeah.
So how long did you go as a kid not knowing the reality?
I think like maybe 2 years. It's like all very foggy, but I know that like there was a period where like they were like kind of like fighting and stuff, and I like had sensed, I was like, oh, maybe like they're not doing too well. But then they would be like they'd be like, oh, we're going on a date, we're going to the movies, or going to dinner. And I'd be like, oh, they're getting better, like they're fixing their problems. And then my sister told me one day that they were like going to like divorce court or whatever. And I was like, oh, like, so I think it was like a period of 2 years that they kind of kept hush on it, but they still lived together for that time. So it was all very confusing.
Okay. Is that the part you're talking? Because you said you had a great childhood. Were they always fine during your childhood though?
Yeah, they were always fine.
Okay.
Yeah, like we traveled a lot. Like we had family parties, which was like the great thing. Like we were all very close. And then like I noticed like just like an indifference in like my parents, like the reasoning like together. Like they just weren't clicking really well. And so I picked it up before like I found out they were divorced. But like when I found out they were divorced, I was like super confused, because I was like in this like fairy tale life, like, oh, everything's good, even though like they might think that they're fighting, like they're working it out, like everything's blessed. And then I was like, oh, they're actually divorced. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm gonna try to ask this question in a way that makes sense, but it might not make sense.
Okay.
So, because you said you would rather have just known. You think.
Yeah.
So
I think, yeah.
It was about two years of you not knowing, living life happily, right? Thinking that everything's okay. And then how long was the period of time where you had to kind of come to grips with the fact of reality?
Probably like, that was long. That was long. Okay. Yeah, because it was long. Because I feel like through my childhood too, like I always had a way of just like pushing things to the side. So I feel like I pushed that to the side for a really long time. And so it took me probably like a good like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And like even beyond that, like that was just like the massive stuff. Like I feel like there were still remnants like around, and like probably like recently I've like been like, okay, that makes sense now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you answered it good then, because I think because I was honestly I was expecting you to say like, oh well, a couple months. So I was like, oh, well, then you wouldn't want just a longer period of happiness for a little...
for a couple months, you know.
But, I mean...
It took a long time. But I also think that was, like, a mixture of just, like, my way of processing things.
No, but that makes sense, though, because much like yourself, I think in the scenario I'm thinking of, like, for me personally, when something like that happened, it wasn't with my parents. It took, like, I pushed it away for a while. I just kind of was like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then eventually you had to deal with it, and that's where, like, the time and the effort and the hard work and the hardship comes in, and you're like, fuck. Well, I gotta actually buckle down and learn from this now.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, some people, it's an easy thing to just, like, bury emotions and stuff, but I feel like a lot of people, you can tell when they're operating out of, like, something that they've buried. Like, because I feel like at the end of the day, like, all humans want is just, like, safety and, like, comfort and, like, love and, like, belonging. And if you have any issues with any of those things, it's probably because of things that you just haven't dug up yet.
Okay. So going back to what we were saying before. So, because I agree. I think there's a lot of different things that, well, not a lot. There's a few different things that all humans want. Comfort. Safety. Love. Belonging. Yeah. But we were also saying earlier how, like, I think we both shared this opinion. People need to get out and, like, experience more.
Yeah.
But if they want comfort, then why should they do that? Question for both of us to think about.
Question for both of us. Well, I think that my comfort comes from, like, new experiences, like, in a way. Like, I feel like there's nothing, well, let's say this. Like I'm not comfortable right now because I haven't experienced things. Like, I think that there's comfort and discomfortability. Okay. But, like, I'm talking about, like, the comfort that humans want. I feel like the comfort is just, like, understanding. Yeah. And I think that you understand the more that you understand yourself, you understand everyone else and everything else. Because everything's so connected. And so I feel like in traveling, I have learned so much more about myself and, like, other people. And so when you come back to wherever that is, like, it's just more comfortable because you've already branched out in the things that might be uncomfortable. Like, once you get rid of, unfamiliar. Like, once you get through the things that you might think are uncomfortable, it's just all comfort because it's comfortable now.
Yeah. No, I'm following. And that's the thing with traveling, too, is, like, you see how people operate in other communities or other countries even. And you realize that, yeah, they have their differences, but ultimately it comes back to those, those things that humans just naturally crave. So when you come back here, it's like, well, if I can get along with people who are on the opposite side of the world than me, we can figure out an understanding between people that grew up in the same area.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, like, not everyone's journey to, like, venture out to the other side of the planet. Like, I get it.
I feel like people should. I think that everybody would benefit from traveling.
I think everyone would. And there used to be, like, school programs. Like, I feel like what they teach in school is so, like, not it. Like, world culture or whatever, like, world history that I learned was, like, so not it. Like, what you have to do is, like, go and, like, be immersed. Like, because the way that people handle you are, like, different. Like, in Costa Rica, the people are just, like, so nice. Like, you'll never pass someone that isn't smiling at you or, like, saying hi or good morning or pura vida. Like, it's a different culture, different lifestyle. Like, and so, yeah, it's just important to, like, experience that, I think.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about history, I think that's the issue with the history we learn in, like, in schools here is we get it from an American perspective. So in a very high overview, how the country of America perceived these situations in history. But then when you go somewhere else,
it's totally different.
It's totally different.
But also, like, I took an an education and culture class in college, and what I learned about school just, like, blew my mind because I already, like, knew that
What you learned about school?
Yeah. Like, the schooling system specifically, like, it's all put in place to keep you in place, really. And, like, the history that we learn, it's a very fragmented part of history. Like, they only tell you that, I mean, like, everyone knows this. I don't want to, like, get into, like, deep shit, but, like,
no, go. That's what we're here for.
Some people, I don't know, like, I just, like, they'll say, like, Christopher Columbus, like, like, just the simple, this is, like, a very basic fact that people know now, but, like, they tell you that, like, only, Christopher Columbus, like, sailed over here and found everyone. But, like, really, it was, like, that, it wasn't Christopher Columbus that, like, said, oh, there's land. It was, like, the guy with the telescope that was like, oh, there's land. And then not to mention, like, when he got here, it wasn't all, like, butterflies and rainbows. Like, he did a bunch of, like, damage. So it's, like, it's that they leave out, but it's also, like, everything else. So I don't know. Like, I just remember that class being, like, so eye-opening because it did talk about, like, how school is, like a brainwashing device. Yeah. And it's no surprise that, like, we're in it for, like, 12 years of our life or, like, 12 grades. Yeah, it's, like, such a long time to, like, be just force-fed information. and it's only of a curriculum that like they perceive to be important to teach you, which is like not at all the truth, because I found so much more knowledge on Google, like just freehand, like going at it, or like books. Like they don't, like I could just read a couple books and learn more than I had in school. Like it's very regurgitated information.
Yeah, and it's weird too because people also discredit what you learn outside of school.
Yeah.
Oftentimes. Yeah,
that's true. But I feel like that's all going to change, because I mean, it's like the stuff that I learned in university and like going to U of M, I feel like it's a little bit more, it's not like as conservative or whatever, which is fine, but like I just feel like they like show you a different side of everything that you just hadn't seen coming. I don't know. I'd have to like share some of my papers. I should have read some of them before I came here.
No, you're good. I agree. I think school, school has a lot of stuff that you should know, right? Like it teaches you simple things like how to fit in, and not that that's necessarily a good thing, but
they don't teach you about the tax code or anything. No,
they don't teach you. There's a lot of things that's missing, and also just like how it is, like if let's say me and you had a disagreement, there's two sides to every story. Well, with what we learn in school, there's really one side. It's all the narrated. It's coming from the United States government. That's what we're gonna learn.
Yeah.
So we don't get two sides or even more sides to every story. We get what we're told. Yeah. And that we just have to take that as truth.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of dangerous, to be honest with you.
It's so dangerous. And they just like, what did they do? What's the word for it? They like veiled it. What's the word? Like deceived, not deceived.
Manipulated?
Not, it's like they like, I don't know, but they painted it in such a way, and I'm already forgetting what you said, but like they painted it in a way that's like, this is what it is. And it's not. Like they've left out so much. Like there's so much basic shit that we don't know. It just like blows my mind.
Like, are you saying I don't know what our issue is right now, but either. So you're saying they left out certain things, and
like emotional intelligence, for instance. Like they don't talk about like how two people, like they just don't talk about like the most basic things in life. Like they talk about 2 + 2 = 4 and like geometry and stuff, but like I've made more use out of my knowledge of like how humans like carry on after. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm like so distracted, but I guess I'm just trying to say like they just don't teach you enough. Like they just teach you like I haven't used anything I've learned in high school.
Okay, I feel like I've always used some stuff, but like calculus and geometry and shit, like I don't use that.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, for example, here's one thing that I know. I shouldn't say I know. I don't think I was taught in high school or in college, which blows my mind, and I only know this now because at this past year at work we had like an event on it, and I attended it and I learned, but it was about Juneteenth, which I guess was like when everyone was actually free, not the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And why is something like that left out of curriculum at school? Or if it wasn't, then I just missed it, but I don't remember that being part of the curriculum. And I feel like that's pretty important.
Yeah, no, they left out a lot of shit, and they also left out the fact that like when we took the land from the natives, like there was a whole program, like a whole schooling program, which I think most of my class is like based around. The schooling program for the Native Americans was to like, what's the word, assimilate them into like American culture. So they stripped them of all of their like native beliefs, their cultures, their like practices and stuff. And that was like that's the foundation of school. It's to like bury, brainwash, and like feed information. And so you were saying they left out a bunch of stuff, and yeah, they left out that like they leave out a bunch of stuff. So I think that, I mean, that just goes back to society. Like I think that the way we're operating is based on like the way that they have set us up to operate, like how we go to work every day, how we need a certain amount to like live, but we want more. Like that's all pre-set in place, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, so going back.
Thank you. I love when you say going back. I get excited because I'm like, okay, I know I forgot something to say. Like,
no, I'm jogging. I'm just
jogging back.
I'm putting this conversation in a different direction a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about your travels, sticking around, and that's one thing I was just. I always love hearing about what people learn from their traveling, like whether they observe different ways of life or different like societal norms or whatever. Because I've only gone out of country like well, okay, I should say 3 times, but
Where'd you go?
Canada doesn't count, but Canada, Jamaica, but it was a private resort, and then Spain, which quite a bit I learned from Spain. But
Very nice.
What have you learned from like your travels? And I know you went to Granada and stayed there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I've learned a lot from my travels, but like Grenada specifically, I feel like I was there for so long, and I was only supposed to be there for like a month, and then I just kept on extending it. And the 3 months spent there, and especially not having any obligations like work or school, or I had school, but I was like online, but like not having to be anywhere and just waking up to like a clean slate every day. And like being the owner of your day was like the most valuable thing I probably learned. Like, what do I want to do with my day? Like, do I want to go to the beach? Do I just want to read a book? Do I want to just nap? Like, just having the freedom to choose what I want to do, like not out of any sort of obligation externally, was the best thing ever, I think. And also I had like a great community down there. My sister laid a great community of just like the most special beings. So they allowed like a lot of freedom just to explore internally, externally, and all the things. So I think the biggest thing that I learned was just like the potential that like human life has. Like, we don't have to get up and dread our days. That's
it. Both those things you said are interesting. I think I agree with having a good community, right? Like, you want to have good people around you. That's how
that's how you grow. That's how you like
that's essential to I think just happiness.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you said like having the freedom to not have any agenda, because I feel like one thing that I do, and I think a lot of people do, is set agendas for their day, set things that they have to do, because it helps keep them
structured.
So for me, it helps keeps me structured. I don't get lazy, and like I always have something to look forward to. But that I could see that. Because what you said is like completely opposite of that, like having nothing and then you just kind of do what you want to do. I could see that being really good or really bad. Like if you're a motivated person, you want to do these things, having a clean slate of a day would be awesome. Like if I'm in the type of mood where I'm like, I'm ready to do something, I have a whole day to do it, watch out, because I could do something crazy. But if like, there's also days where if I have nothing to do, I will do nothing.
But there were so many of those days that like I couldn't, like there were there were like 90 of those days where like I had nothing to do, and it was like I think bored is a great place to be. Like I used to be like so hateful of being bored, but like being bored is like you could do anything when you're bored. Like when you have nothing to do, you could do anything you want to do. So it gave me the space to like do things that I wouldn't normally do, and that was really great.
Yeah, I think that's the difference too, is if I have 6 days of my week are packed, one day I get a little bit weird of being bored. But if I take that time to just do nothing. But if I had every single day of nothing to do, then I would eventually do something that like I think is interesting, right? Because lots of times now with my day, am I doing things I necessarily think are interesting? No, I'm doing things that bring me income. I'm doing things that are keeping relationships with others that maybe I don't want to do, or they're kind of things that I feel like I need to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll have things that I want to do sprinkled in here and there. But if I had just nothing on my agenda for 3 months, I don't know what I'd do. But I think that'd be interesting. I could see that going a couple different ways.
Yeah, it's so blessed. Like just like free time is so amazing, and so much of our time, like on the day up until you're like 60 or whatever, like with the retirement age. Like it's so funny they say like 65 is like when you can start enjoying your life. I'm like, that's crazy. Like I can't imagine going to school until I'm 18. Like going to school maybe until you're like 23 or whatever if you go to college, and then like even longer if you're going to grad school. But it's like, and then working to like pay off your bills, and then you finally, and then like you're working, you don't have bills, but like you have a family, and and then it's like, and then you can enjoy your life.
Yeah,
like, no
after you've
way.
put in 55, 65 years of work.
That's crazy. And then you're only supposed to be on the earth for what, like 73 to 80 or something years. Like I can't imagine that that's the cycle I'm supposed to take.
I know, and that's something I constantly like have an internal battle on, because so I've said it on this podcast before, but like right out of high school, it was also kind of triggered by like a bad mental health stage, but I just started spending lots of money and going to do shit, which I don't know if I regret or not. I don't think I do, because
What'd you do? What do you mean? Like experiencing like traveling and stuff?
I spent way more money than I had, but I went out and went on vacation, went to concerts, met people, went to the bar, like did all these things that I didn't have the financial means to be doing. But I feel like I'd rather experience those things when I'm 20 to 24 than when I'm 65.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like this is the time to be living. And I feel like so many people are like limited by the thought of their like scarcity and like financial or like like means of travel or whatever. Like I just feel like once you release that scarcity, like, and you can do anything you want to do, like you can literally do anything you want to do, and like the money will literally return to you. Like money is in circulation at all times. Like money, people like get fooled into thinking that their money is theirs, and it's like that money is actually in circulation. You're going to spend that on something. Like money is circular, and like if you're giving, like, and also like I just feel like once you put out some, like you get some. So it's like living is such an investment. Like you will never get, like I will never, like I've spent money on stuff like that as well, like concerts and traveling and stuff, and I'd rather spend it while I'm living, honestly. Like I will never regret being, you know, a little bit broke for a little bit because I like went to 5 different concerts in a month. Like it made me happy, so I love it.
It's good. I think I think it'd be nice to find like a good middle ground, because although I enjoyed all the things I did, once you get to the reality of, all right, well, I'm in debt now, I need to get myself out of that, then it's a little bit stressful.
That's true.
But at the same time, like if I like just did nothing, I kept doing, like I worked my whole life and then didn't spend this money, I'd be great right now, but I wouldn't have the memories and like the learnings from the shit that I did do.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. And yeah, that's so real.
So I feel like I don't regret it, but I also trying to like not tie experiences to money. Like if I can go out and do something that doesn't cost so much money, that should be cool too. Like not everything you do has to cost so much money. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's so real.
Traveling
does
costs money.
Yeah, but. It definitely does. And I feel like that's where most of my money goes. Like everyone has different things they're saving for and stuff. Like some people are saving for houses and like, you know, cars and stuff, and like I totally get it. But thankfully, like my life has been set up so that like, yeah, I'm saving for like my future life, but I'm also like just saving for experiences. Like I'm all about those.
Well, yeah.
I have to pee.
Dude, so do I.
Oh my god, what do we do?
We can cut it real quick. We'll pick back up because I got to pee too. So you go first.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll stop it. Oh shit, it's already back. I thought normally it does a 4 count. Either way, yeah, we had a little intermission because we need to use the restroom. That's only the second time that's happened on this podcast.
Oh really?
Keenan did it last time.
Leave it to me.
No, well, it was both of us this time.
Okay.
But okay, so going back to, I need to stop saying going back.
No, I like it. It gets me excited because I'm like, I would love to go back because I feel like nothing that I say is like ever complete. So like going back, but
I think your thoughts have been complete.
Oh, good.
I'm trying to pick up, like, cause you know how some people will speak and they'll say like too much.
Yeah.
Or they have like these tics. I feel like I gotta stop saying going back because now I've said it, I don't know,
you can
10
like change
times.
It, like regressing or something.
Yeah, taking it back.
Yeah.
No, either way. So I've kind of learned a little bit more about, you know, your the way you think about life and things like that. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes people say you're a product of your surroundings. Would you say that like your friend group and like the people you're closest with have the same type of philosophical beliefs and all these things that you do, or?
My friend group specifically, I mean, like, I feel like I've brought a lot of the thoughts to them, and they're very, like, open-minded, so maybe they, like, wouldn't, you know, ponder upon a book like Sapiens before, but, like, I will definitely ramble my thoughts on them, and they will accept them, like, and they'll, like, also, like, yeah, explore them and stuff, so I think it's important to, like, surround yourself with people that are in that, like, growing mindset. I mean, at the very least, like, an open mind, so that they can, like, explore with you, but, yeah, I think you're a product of your surroundings for sure. But I feel like you can also grow. I mean, I don't know. It's like you can only grow so big in like a tank, right? Like fish and stuff and like pots and plants and whatnot. But I feel like within a small pot, like there are ways to expand because like you're always learning from other people. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it doesn't matter like who you're around. Like you can always learn something, you can always teach them something, and all these things. Yeah I was following the analogy a little bit there. No, I just was curious because I think there's definitely similarities between me and my friend group, like how we think, but there's also definitely differences. And people always say you're a product of what you surround yourself with, but I also feel like that's kind of like a blanket statement because
me and the people I'm closest with have lots of differences, and I wouldn't say that we are very much alike, except for like the overarching idea that we're open-minded. Like I think that's the one thing we kind of share in common. Why does share in common sound so strange to me?
I don't think that's the way you say it. I think it's
have in common.
Have in common, yeah. And you share commonalities.
Okay. Either way, but man, I don't even know what I was trying to say.
But no, I know what you're saying. I picked it up, and I agree that it's important to have like-minded people around you. But I recently learned, because I had an issue with like perception, and like I was talking about earlier, and it's like I always wish that like people would perceive or like pick up exactly what I was putting down and exactly that I'm putting it down. Like I always was like, if I'm saying something and like you're not saying it, or like you're not understanding it in the way that I'm placing it to be, like then I feel like, oh fuck, I like messed up or like whatever. So I put like a lot of pressure on myself in that way. But then I recently came across a TikTok, and it was like, if everyone understood exactly what you were saying, they would be you. And so it's color is present in contrast or something like that. Like you're only, like if you were the same color as your background, you would be the background. So it's like that contrast in our friend group, I think, makes like our friend group a friend group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you didn't have differences, like you'd all be the same, and it'd be boring. Like
for sure.
If you understood exactly what I was saying, there'd be no conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I was gonna say I understand, but I don't want to understand now.
I know, right?
So you were saying that you had this issue with perception.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate just a bit?
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes I'm like too aware of what the other person or like people are feeling or thinking, and maybe I don't know. I think I am. Like I like to think that I don't understand, but I feel like sometimes I do. Like I can sense when someone doesn't understand what I'm saying, if I'm talking too fast, or like they just like lost, control of their thought, and they're like wandering somewhere, and like I'm talking or something. So I feel like if I know what they're going through, it's like more pressure to fit like what they're comfortable with, you know what I mean? So I feel like that was my issue, like understanding their perception of my thought. I need to manipulate my thought to understand their level of perception.
So are you saying that you need to adjust how you said something to make sure people...
Yeah, and I feel like I also adjust myself in any situation to fit the situation, not in like a weird like two-faced way or whatever, but I feel like it's just like it's mutable. I'm not gonna you just I just feel like everything's perfect, like it needs to be. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, like in every sense. So I just feel like I'm a little bit hard on myself in that way, I guess. And I was like nervous about the podcast for this reason, because I'm like, what if I say something that like people don't understand, or I'm not saying it to the completeness of my thought because of the own fault of myself or whatever. So it's like that perception is like, just like there's a lot of pressure on it. But I'm also like, I'm in the process of like releasing that pressure, because it's like everyone's going to perceive how they perceive it. Yeah,
they meet you where they are, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. They meet you where they are. So it's like, I'm just going to come as myself, and whoever can meet me is great. And if they can't meet me, then maybe they'll, whatever. It's not like a game of like you have to meet me or whatever. It's just like, we're just all so different humans. I always think it's so crazy. Like for the longest time, I was like, I think it's so crazy that humans are interacting in the way that they do, because like there's so much going on in the unseen and the unsaid that it's like, I don't understand how humans can like form relationships, like literally live their whole lives together, like not knowing what the other person's fully going through or thinking.
Yeah, that is wild.
I think it's so wild.
Like, is there anybody in this planet who knows exactly like your thoughts, what you've done, your history? Like,
no. And I used to love to think so. Like I used to love to think that like my partner, my person would be like someone that completely in it like fully understands every one of my thoughts, but it's actually like not.
It's not possible.
It's not possible, or is it necessary?
Yeah, it's not necessary, because we all have just outlandish thoughts where it's like, it's probably best no one knows that thought.
yeah, for sure.
But fuck, you were saying something. What were you saying? Oh, well, two things. So that's the point of this podcast. If you say something that people don't understand, the point is for people to share some feedbacks, so we can have a discussion, so people can learn.
I love discussion.
Yeah, but it's more so been not so much feedback has been shared. It's more so like the discussions between me and whoever else is on the podcast, not so much the guests, or not so much the listeners, which is unfortunate. But
what did you want, like people in comments, like
yeah, like if we were talking about something,
maybe you should like make like a forum or something.
Well, just like even if they just messaged me, like let's say I said something political or whatever, and they didn't agree with my view.
You want a conversation?
I want that to be like the starting point for a conversation because I want to learn. So if people just listen and then don't tell me their actual thoughts, I'm not learning. Like I'm learning from you because we're having a conversation, and I learn from the guests who come on podcasts. But I want to learn from the listeners who might not be very vocal about their. I want to know what they think.
That's real, yeah.
But no, I actually what you were saying really resonated with me because you said that you kind of adjust to fit the situation and not in a way that's two-faced.
Yeah.
But I do that quite a bit, and I think. And hopefully this doesn't sound not condescending, like arrogant, but I think that's a very good skill to have. For example, if I'm with, coworkers who are older than me, I'm going to be a lot different, still myself, but a lot different than when I'm with a group of my peers, even if they are coworkers that are around my age. Like there's different parts of me that I will open up to others because I think that they will accept that part of me more. And it's still 100% me, but you put
a different foot forward.
Yeah. Because you think it will fit the situation. And oftentimes it does. Like, pretty good, like yourself, at reading the room.
Exactly.
And like, all right, well, this isn't this part of me, so I'm going to put this part of me forward. Like, I can't explain it very well, but I resonate with what you're saying because I find myself doing the same thing. And it's weird because I also recognize when people don't do that. I'm like, yo, how is your social cues so off? Literally. And that's what I kind of noticed like a lot too, and what I'm like learning about is like what you notice in other people, or like sometimes what you hate in other people, because everything's a mirror, is like what you might dislike in yourself. So like I'm not a very judgy person. Like I might think thoughts, but I'm always like very compassionate. Like everyone's just in their own experience. Like there's nothing to be like judgmental of. But like if someone like is seriously just like out of bounds, I'm like, how could you not see that? And so it's like I think I've become so like conscious of that because keep going, I'm listening. Sorry.
No, you're good. Because I've like noticed in other people. Like I feel like everything that I'm so conscious about is what I've just learned from my environment.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think are you at all like ever hypercritical or like hyper aware of what you're like? Do you hyperanalyze what you do?
Yeah.
And I guess I'll elaborate on that. For example, I think generally I'm not the type of person, like I don't think I'm the type of person who really says things that makes people like standoffish towards me. I feel like I'm normally pretty, P and Q. I don't know the fucking
P's and Q's or whatever.
Even keeled. I'm usually pretty even keeled. Like people can usually get along with me. However, I don't know if it's from like this podcast or whatever, but now I hyperanalyze everything I do. So for example, just recently we had a work event, and this person who is a coworker who I was basically just meeting for the first time, in person, they were saying that their family likes to do a certain thing that I didn't like to do, and I felt the need to say I don't like to do that. Why? Like, people don't like when you say that you don't like something that they like. So why didn't I just say, okay, yeah, it's cool. Like, I felt the need to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
I felt the need to share my opinion that went against theirs. And there was no need for that. So, like, I'm very hypercritical of, like, oh, well, hopefully they didn't think, like, oh, this guy's a dickhead. Why did I just said something I love to do, and he said he didn't like it.
I'm curious, like, what the thing was.
It was about a car. Like,
okay.
It was, so their family likes a certain car brand that like I don't like, just because I used to drive them, and I think they're pieces of shit. Either way, they're like, yeah, my whole family's got this car, like we all like it, and I was like, oh, I hate those cars.
Yeah.
Why would I say that? And it's just like,
yeah, and I've been in those places too, and it's like I think that's where you learn. Like I've learned a lot of like silent, like when is my time to talk, and like when is it my time to just like not. And a lot of the times I'm just like, I don't know, I go in phases. Like I was like a complete like, okay, it's not my time to talk. Like if I don't like something, I'm just gonna keep quiet about it. But like there's times when like that contrast is important. Like if you bring up that you don't like it, then it's like a whole other conversation, and it's like worthy. But
not when it's about cars. Like that doesn't matter. But also at the same time,
but it's like injecting your personality in the conversation. Like
Yeah, well, for me, I would just want to keep the conversation going. So I'm like, all right, well, what can I add that relates it to it?
Yeah.
And I know to the person I was talking to, it's probably like a fart in the wind. Like they don't even they don't even recognize it. But that's what I'm saying. Like I hyper analyze everything I do.
Yeah.
So if I say something where I'm like, ooh, that could have been received bad, even though 9 times out of 10 it wasn't received bad.
Yeah.
But I think that I don't know if that's healthy.
I mean, I don't say, but like,
You're like,
it's like,
no, it's not healthy.
No.
You need some help.
Yeah, no, like I've learned that in myself too, because like before I do, like if I have a conversation with someone, or like even before this podcast, it was like a whole freaking process. I'm like planning out things I'm gonna say and stuff, and it's like planning out what you're gonna say before you say it is like, I think they call it a trauma response or whatever, but it's like having to fit like any scenario perfectly is like your, it's like a problem. It's not like a problem, but it's like your need to be perfect in anyone's eyes is like a reflection of you just needing to accept yourself kind of thing. Or like whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like trying to control things before they happen is like not where it's supposed to be. Like you're supposed to live in the present, and like even analyzing things that happened in the past. Like I'm always like a victim of just like freaking thinking about things I've texted, or like things I've had, like conversations I've had, and just like analyzing everything. Like what were they thinking? What was I thinking? And like sometimes it's like a blessing to be able to perceive things like that deeply, like know all these things. But also it's just like at the end of the day, I think everyone is really focused on themselves, like more than you think. So you might be thinking about someone else and like what they're thinking about, but really like at the end of the day, you probably return back to yourself and you're like, oh, it's like about me. Like, so people aren't really thinking that much about what you're doing is what I've learned. And that kind of helped. And then also it's like, it's like all, I don't know, like I've just released the planning around a lot of things. Like there's no way I could have like rehearsed myself into this whole podcast. Like you just have to go with it. So like the sooner that you accept that you can't control every situation, you can't go back and fix any situation, like then it's just like it's all safe and it's all okay to do.
I agree. I think the part where I struggle with is I'm kind of a control freak, and I'm slowly letting myself go of that, because like you said, as soon as you can do that, the happier you are. And I'm nowhere near the control freak I used to be. But for conversations like that, it's kind of where I leave the conversation like, well, shit, that's not the way I wanted it to go. But really it wasn't that big of a deal.
No, like you can plan things out for like as long as you want to, but they'll probably just go the way they're meant to go. And like you kind of have to accept that. And
like you said, most people probably focus on what they said.
Exactly. Because half the time, like when I like go back and I think about something, I'm like I think about both parts, but it's like really about me. So I'm like, let's be real.
Do you think, because I think you're right, I think people do think about themselves. Like I think people are just hypercritical of themselves in general. Like, for example, people stare in the mirror. Like, when they look at picture, more often than not, if you're in a group picture, you look at yourself first to see how you looked in the picture.
Exactly. You're, like, barely focused about other people.
Yeah. But I don't know. Do you think that's, like, what do you think about that? Do you think that's a bad thing?
I think it's interesting. I didn't have mirrors in my room for, like, 2 years for that reason.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Like, okay, so for what reason? Like, you noticed that yours an issue?
Well,
or
it was
not
just
issue,
like,
but...
I think I watched something about like a tribe that was there's some tribe, and it's like the pygmies, that's what they're called. And they're a tribe that live, I'm actually not sure where, I forgot, but basically like if you put a pygmy back like 5,000 years ago in their tribe environment, it would be no different than it is today. Like they don't know anything about politics. They don't know what they look like because they don't have mirrors. Like they're just in the jungle type shit. So I think I learned about that, and I was like, wow, like people literally live without even knowing what they look like. Like why am I so...
That is fucking wild.
Right? So it's like...
That's wild.
And you can't even see yourself. So like I think like for some time like I look in the mirror and I just stare at myself, like I'm staring at myself, but like I'm not looking at myself. And it's just like fucked me up. So I was like, for a couple of years, like I got a new room and I just didn't add any mirrors, and I was like, like, because I think there was a time where I was really critical of myself. Like I was constantly looking in the mirror, like all this pimple, my hair, like whatever. And I think once you get like more, I think whatever you bring attention to is like what blooms. So it's like if I'm constantly thinking about this pimple, like I'm probably gonna get more pimples. But if I'm like, oh, like I just look pretty, like I'm just gonna continue to look pretty, like. And I think that, so like intent affects form a lot. And so I just think that removing mirrors from my life for a little bit was just like, it's not the focus. Like appearance isn't the focus. And like, But now that I have mirrors in my room, I do notice like the vanity that it brings.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like an indulgence, like looking at yourself sometimes. It's like, wow, like this is me and like I control my appearance and like other people see this and like what am I putting out? So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to know what you look like in somebody else's eyes?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. And for that
And
reason,
we'll never know.
You'll never know. Like sometimes, like when I get a new follower that like I like, and I hate to say this, like, but I get a new follower or something on Instagram, and I will go back through my Instagram, and I'll be like, what did they see? What do they see? Yeah. Like without even knowing anything but these pictures, like what are they getting from it?
Yeah, that's happening, especially if I can relate to that 100%. Like if you get a follower and it's like you don't really know the person, you go back through like what on here interested them. Like, what did they see on here that were like, oh, I got to follow them? Because I don't even know that fucking person. Or I do, but, like, barely. Yeah. So what about me were they interested in?
Is your profile on private?
No.
Okay.
I honestly should be because well, actually, no, it shouldn't be. Because if I ever get, like, fucking fired or whatever for anything I say, then I don't want to work there anyway. Like, I just want to be able to be myself. Yeah. So, no, it's not in private.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's the issue. I just think sometimes, like, weird people follow you. Or, I mean, maybe it's different for girls.
I was going to say, it's probably more... Yeah. I mean, well, I've had a few, like, I don't know. Well, I mean... Okay. I've had a few, like, messages that are definitely, like...
What the?
You know, weird people. Or maybe, like, they're guys pretending to be girls. Like, you know, just weird fucking DMs. But probably nowhere near that of a female. Yeah. Also, I don't feel as, like... unsafe.
Yeah. Sometimes in like Snapchat too, like I got really I kind of cracked down on Snapchat because like I had like 170 or like 200 people like viewing my story, and at one point it was like, oh, like you want a bunch of viewers on your Snapchat story, but then I was like, I share like moments of my personal life, like my room, like my family, my dog and stuff, and it's like I don't really want a bunch of people that I might not even know or like talk to in the last like 5 years like viewing these personal things. So like I've recently like purged my my Snapchat of just like, and now I'm down to like 100 or like 70 people like I actually know and like I talk to like every month or something, and it just feels better because it's like, who are these people like creeping into my life? Why? Yeah. And it's it
is weird, and I think that was a conversation I had in the pod with Trevor. If you think about social media in general, like, and how we use it, it's very strange. For example, you have people who just observe you and don't say shit about it. Like, they don't even react to, like, your story. They just see a picture of you, and then they just look at it. Like, you would never do that in person. I would never just watch you and, like, exist in person, just standing here watching you and not say shit. Yeah, no. That's weird.
That's weird.
But we do it all the time. We see people's pictures, and we just, okay, next. Like, we don't say shit to them. Like, we don't. And that's why I try to get a lot better. And, I mean, I still, like, I don't respond to everybody's story or everybody's picture, but I try to like
interact,
leave comments or like message their story to say something, because I'm like, if they see that I'm seeing their story and they don't, like, for example, if I put out a story and nobody says shit about it, I'm just like, all these people just saw that and what
literally. It's interesting. And it's also like the way you use social media. Like sometimes I'm like, why am I putting this out? Or like I'll like go back hours later and I'm like, why did I post that? And like, I don't know. It's just like, it's interesting because I think it's all about perception. Like you're putting out what you want to be perceived as, and you're hoping that people perceive it that way. And like, it's all about, I think it's really superficial. Yeah. Yeah. Like I wish I could be more, and I think I'm trying to move into that, like being more like just like generally like authentic and like all my social medias, because like I'm like such a like just like
aesthetic.
I mean, yeah, like. Well, no, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I'm very candid. Like, I'll just, like, I have, like, thoughts that I just want to, like, you know, randomly, like, blurge out and, like, hope that someone interacts and understands. But, like, I won't do that because it's weird, you know? Like, people would.
But it shouldn't be. But I agree with you. Yeah. And, I mean, even when I respond to people's stories or, like, I'll comment on their picture or whatever, I feel like lots of times... Well, I've had people just not respond. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, is that weird that I said something? Or is it more weird that I just don't say something? And to me, I think I like when people respond. Like, and I don't mean like respond like, ooh, you look good. Like, just like if I don't know, if I posted a picture of like this, nice plant. Like, just say something. I think it's more weird to just have things be left unsaid. But it is weird because you said if you put out your opinions, and that's weird. At the same time, if it's like seen as weird if people swipe up on a story or swipe up or comment on a picture, unless it's like a good friend.
Yeah.
I feel like you shouldn't have to be a good friend. If you're good enough friends to be following me and I'm following you, I should be able to make a comment.
Yeah, for sure. And I do that. I'm like, you know, like I just pass a picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm just going to comment. Like they obviously post it because they look good, they feel good. Like I'm going to make them feel good with this comment. Like it's just great. And so I feel like, yeah, people are opening up to it. And I feel like more so now than ever, people are open to that like way of life, and I think it's of help to TikTok.
You think so?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like we're like more open than anything. Like I feel like there's more information being circulated. Like people are coming out of their boxes. People are like trying new things. Like I feel like people aren't as scared to like do new stuff. Like
Yeah, I think that part's true. I still think maybe more now than ever. There's still a weird connotation or vibe behind like interacting with people who you kind of know. It's like if you don't know me very well, don't talk to me on social media because it's like creepy. Or and maybe I see that as a guy's perspective because I've seen so many like tweets or whatever from like girls where it's like this guy swipes up, what's his deal? And it's like, dude, I'm not hitting on you. I literally made I made a comment on something in the background of your picture. I'm just trying to like keep a relationship going with somebody who I follow.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's still like a weird thing there.
It might be a dynamic like between guys, I think, because I feel like it's pretty open between girls, and like at least for me. But I don't know. And I also purged my Instagram recently because
like remove people.
Yeah, like that I was following, because I feel like when I got my Instagram, it was like, just follow everyone I knew and like everyone that I thought I liked and all these things. But like when you go through your timeline, it's like you're actually like, and you go through your timeline probably a couple times a day, it's like you're seeing and absorbing these things, and it's like, what are you thinking about them? Like what kind of energy is it giving off? And like if I'm seeing someone's pictures that like maybe I don't fuck with or something, like I'm just talking shit about it in my head or something, like why am I following them? Like just because I know them? No, like I'm just gonna get rid of them. And then also I started following like a bunch of just more like affirmative like accounts, like things that when I scroll by and I read them, like it's like an affirmation or something, like just more like useful things. Like my whole timeline is like, it's less people and it's more like facts or like spiritual memes or something, but it's just like it's more valuable. Yeah. And there might be less stuff on it, but like it's more of value, I feel. Yeah.
I'm very conflicted on that. Like, because I definitely still have people I follow who like I haven't talked to maybe even ever or maybe since like 10th grade.
Yeah.
But I don't personally, I never like to I never like to close a door. So it's like, well, I haven't talked to them, but maybe I will.
Yeah, I was like that too. But then you just have to like cut the cord.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I feel like the way that the Instagram like algorithm works now is like you only see posts that are like liked a lot, or it's like it's not by time anymore. So like,
which I don't like.
Exactly, me either. But like the people that I followed a lot, I'd be like, oh, I don't even see any of their stuff, and like I don't even know them, I don't even talk to them.
Yeah, you go to a profile, like I missed these last 5 posts.
Exactly, and so I'm just like, so I unfollowed a bunch, but I don't know.
And then people could get offended by that too. Like, yo, you unfollowed me. Like, what the fuck?
They really do. I'm sorry. Shout out Helena, because I unfollowed her, and it wasn't even like that. It was just like, I don't know. It was just like some people you just don't see, you just don't talk to, you don't really see like anything coming up, and you're just like, I'm just following you because I feel bad. This isn't to Helena. I'm sorry, but it's just like. Yeah, it's just like, it's not just a number thing. Like, I just don't care about numbers. It's just like, what's of value? And it's not that you're not of value, but it's like, it's just like, what do I want to see on my timeline? Like, honestly. And
it shouldn't be selfish or an issue. But I do feel like that too. Like, when there's lots of people who I'm following just because I'm like, well, there's a chance that I see him out in public or at a party and then be like, yo, you unfollowed me.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't like that person, but it's like, I have no reason.
Yeah, like I've deleted like people on Snapchat, and they'd be like, "Oh, I just noticed you like deleting me on Snapchat," and I'm like that. The fact that you noticed, like, okay, I'm so sorry. Like now that I see that we interact like that, like go ahead and add me, and like I'll add you back. But it's like I didn't think that we were on that level. So sometimes it can like bring like openings, like I actually watch your stuff, and like I like you, and like we're friends, and like why'd you get rid of me? And I'm just like, oh, I just didn't. It's just like It's I think it's more personal these days. It's not like personal, like I don't like you or whatever. It's just like, this is my personal life and who am I sharing it with? If you care to watch or like fucking tune in, then like go ahead. But like I'm not gonna just have a bunch of people on my stuff for numbers. Like yeah.
Well, and Snapchat does a terrible job at that too, because it literally says subscribed.
Oh my god.
Like if I unadded you and you were still following or friends with me, it would say you were subscribed to me, which is like. because that happened to me once where somebody who I went to high school with, like, we were on there, but we never talked, and they unfollowed me, and I'm like, why am I subscribed to this fucking person?
I think that only happens when, like, they're set to, like, have anyone add them. Because I have a couple subscriptions. But it's because, like, they have, like...
So does it say when somebody subscribed to you?
No, like I subscribed, like, to a couple people that, like, I had maybe unadded. But, like, they were, like, everyone can see my story. Because I have it only set to, like, my friends can see it. Okay. But, like, if you have it set to everyone can see it, then, like, people can subscribe to your stuff. Yeah.
Oh. Well, either way, it made it known that they weren't following me anymore. So I'm like, oh, what the fuck? But, oh, fuck, what are you saying? Oh, there was something I wanted to add too.
I'm excited.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to find it back. We were talking about Snapchat. I said Snapchat is a bad job because what the fuck?
Purging stuff.
No, I don't know what it was going to be, but I guess I'll just add this. Mm-hmm. It can like stir up conversation because, you know, if somebody does see that you unfollowed them and they do take it to heart, then they'll say something. Well, then there's a conversation that maybe you guys didn't have in a while. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I find most. It's like, oh, like, it's just a nice conversation. Like, oh, like, I forgot that we have that connection. Like, we'll just go back to it.
Should I go see if you're following me? So
I think I am.
Just joking. I won't take offense. But, okay. So, one way I always like to bring this to an end, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say, because there's two different questions I'd like to ask.
Okay.
First one being... anything that it's your mental health tip, aka Timbit. Mm-hmm. Anything you do to proactively achieve good mental health, or if you're having a bad day, you do it to kind of turn the tide of the day. Just what's your mental health tip? I'm curious.
I was ready for this question. Okay, I think my mental health tip is honestly just like turn inwards. Like it's kind of like all about you. Like I always say, like honestly, like it's really like take care of yourself before anyone else. Like. And I just feel like make yourself, like, comfortable, like, invite safety. Like, it's okay to look at things. Like, if you're having a rough day, just, like, ask yourself, what do you need? Like, that's what I do. I'm always like, what do I need? Like, let me take care of you. Like, as if someone else is going to take care of me. Like, what do I need to feel okay? And also, like, what is bothering me? Like, don't be afraid to, like, think about what it is that's making your day go awry. Like, stop and, like, be present and be like, what is it? Let's get to the root of it and fix it, clear it up, and then you should be okay. Like, I mean, obviously everything's not like that, but I just feel like if you, like, invite safety and, like, love into it, then it should go a little bit more smooth. So I just feel like, yeah, just, like, take account. Like, stop and, like, just take a second, be present, and think about what do you need? What would make this better? What can I fix? What do I have control over? What is, like, not mine to carry? And just separate everything else from, like, your being and your inner being and what you need. So
when you do this self-scan, do you try to do it more objectively, or do you do it with emotion?
I mean, I think it's always emotion based. Like, when you feel a certain way in your body, it's usually, like, pertaining to an emotion. So usually I'm just like, why do I feel this way? Because it happens all the time. I'm just like, stop. Like, I'm, like, thinking thoughts or whatever, and I'm just like, pause, like, what's going on? And then I'll think about it. So you're saying, is it objective, or, like, it's always emotional based, I think, because you're, like, the way you feel and the way you act is always based on, like, chemicals and emotions, I feel. So yeah, I think it's probably emotion based, like, what's going on. Okay. Yeah. That's a good tip. Yeah. Because I think people need to be more present. Just like stop for a second. Like, everything external is, like, secondary to what's going on inside of you. Like, what's going to go on outside of you is, like, based on what's happening inside of you. Like, you can only do so much outwardly if you're not taken care of inwardly. Yeah, and doing that helps you achieve good mental health. Yes. Because it helps you I don't want to take your Timbit, but yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh, you don't have to. Yeah. And then, okay, so second question I always like to ask, and this is kind of a newer one, but I'm just curious because I don't put ads in my podcast because I don't like being paid to say some bullshit that somebody else wants me to say. Yeah. So I like to ask people what they would like to promote. So anything that you would like to promote or recommend, it can be something small, it can be something large, anything. Oh, I really, really like that. Oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared for that question. Okay. And don't worry, you have time. I can put, like, little, like, music in the background too while you think. That's great. Okay, let's see. So what would I like to promote? I think I'd just really love to promote, like, yourself, like just literally introspection, like getting to know yourself. Because so much is focused like externally, like you're always scrolling on social media, like reading other people's thoughts, other people's pictures. And I just feel like if you bring it, like instead of comparing yourself, just bring it back to you. So promoting like self-love and self-knowledge and like safety, just like, is that what you're looking for?
If that's what you want to promote, yeah.
Promoting, and also promoting knowledge, like always knowledge, because like you can't ever depend on what they're giving you. You have to go look for it. So knowledge is a good one, and no one can ever take it from you. So I love that. And yeah, just like learning about yourself and learning about everything around you. That's mine.
Continual learning.
Yeah.
All
always
right.
learning.
I'm a big advocate for that.
Yeah.
So whatever your learning is.
Yeah, 100% learning.
Sorry, were you going to say something and I cut you off?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, okay, that's a good promotion. Simone, thank you so much for coming on. I've enjoyed the conversation a lot. Yes. If you'd like to come on the podcast, please let me know. Instagram and Facebook is TIMM Podcast, and the email is timmpod@gmail.com. Also, I'm guessing if you listen to this, you probably know who I am, so just hit me up. Any closing remarks?
No, I'm just like so thankful for this.
No.
Like thankful that you started this in like our town, like Livonia and stuff, like getting the people that you've had on. Like I don't think would have ever heard from the people that you've had on.
Likewise.
Yeah, and so like I'm just so happy that people have like this place to just express their thoughts and stuff in a way that no one would ever see them, you know. So just thank you to you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Big time. Thank you, Seth.
Okay, I appreciate that. You're gonna make me feel all good. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Until next week, guys. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.